Very good evening, children. Welcome to Practically. This is Nagrani. Today we are here with a new topic which is very familiar with our Indian history. Okay, let us have a discussion on Indian history, that is nationalism in India. Okay, let me see. Yes, yeah. Let us have a look in detail the nationalism. See, in the previous sessions we have discussed about what is the concept called nationalism, the spirit of oneness or common identity among the people. It's called nationalism. Okay, so let us, in today's session we'll learn about how the nationalism has been developed in India during the British colonies. Okay, so let us have in detail. This is the nationalism is a feeling of oneness among the people, which has been created a one country or one territory, which creates that feeling among the people. Okay, which we call today, that's nationalism spirit. When you listen to a national song or a national movements, or the people who have sacrificed their lives to the nations, if we hear their uh, those sort of or if you view any images or any picture regarding patriotic feeling, so such cases we experiences a type of feeling which we call it as nationalism. Okay, so let us have a detailed study on this. See, the first beginning, you need to know from where the nationalism has begun in the country. Mute that. Yeah. See, let us have a look regarding the nationalism in India. See, we have studied in our previous sessions, okay, in our previous sessions, the concept of nationalism in different countries, okay, especially which has come from European countries like France, French Revolution and Russian Revolution. In India, during the British colonial rule, how the Indians have struggled hard to achieve our country's freedom, especially during the freedom movement. So these movements have spreaded very faster after the arrival of Gandhiji from 1950s onwards. So let us have a look from 1915 to till the independence, that is 1947, we read in this topic regarding the Indian national movements, and in part of this lesson, in part of this concept, we learn about from 1915 to 1947 what were the changes occurred in the country regarding the freedom movements, and what sort of changes have brought in the people's ideology and the way of thinking, and how they have struggled to achieve our independence. So let us have a look in detail in this topic. So the first and the foremost groups which are formed during this national struggle, that is, the first one is INC, Indian National Congress. INC was formed in 1885. Indian National Congress by one of an British retired general, that is A. U. Hume. So this person was Ahu Hume was a person who has started this INC, and many of the national leaders have took part in later on, and some eras also there were been existing from 85 to 1900. There were a lot of changes in the INC, like moderates, extremists, and the way of thinking in the earlier stages. The extremists, before extremists, the moderates, their way of thinking is different, like approach to the Britishers, like petitions, through petitions and letters, they requested the British government to give a freedom to the country. But later on, the extremists who have come, they went on different way of agitations, protest against the British government. So insofar, after Gandhiji arrived from South Africa in 1915. Gandhiji has come as from South Africa as he went to practice LLB practice in Africa. There even he took a part in apartheid regarding this racial discrimination in South Africa. As soon as he came back, it's called a Gandhian era from 1950s onwards. So let us have a look about how INC has taken major steps in the national forming. Okay, let us have a look at another party which is called as Muslim League, and it was formed in 1906. Let us have a look here. See, the Indian National Congress, it was formed in 1885, and the Muslim League was formed in 1906, which was formed by Jinnah. And although there was a great divisions among the Hindus and Muslims in the beginning stages during the INC formation, there was no differentiation. There was only single party were existing. As there were people different types of people have existing, as the British has brought divide and rule policies and inculcated among the people, and this lead for another type of ideology, and the people thinks that the INC was focusing on Hindu religion only, and in sort of time there was another small minority party developed in the country, which is called as Muslim League. Both the groups worked together in the beginning, but later on it led for the partition of the country. Okay, so these both of their goals are for getting independent. Okay, so let us see now how these parties have put forward their efforts to achieve independence. See, let us have a look this image. Can you see the image? I hope you can. This is the image of the First World War. During the First World War, in the previous session also we have studied that Russian Revolution. In the Russian Revolution concept, we have come across the world wars. The world wars took place from 1914 to 1918, which was a major destruction in all over the world countries. Many of the countries directly or indirectly involved in the war. Okay, some were involved directly, like major countries like Britain, France and all, and some of the colonies indirectly, in the sense the colonial countries, wherever the major countries have colonized. Like if you take example of India was colonized by Britishers, so we were under the supervision of Britishers. So British government has forced the Indian soldiers to involve in the war on behalf of Britain. So let us have a look about this World War. So during the World War 1914 to during the World War 1914 to 18. So So it was related with Indian history even. Why? Because during this 1914 to 18's time in India, the conditions, let us have a discussion on the conditions in India. During the World War, British completely forced the Indian soldiers, especially from villages, okay, especially from the villages, people were forcibly recruited into the army, and during this time there was a crop failures, people were unable to pay taxes even. So British authorities have forced the Indian people to pay more number of taxes. So this is also one of the reason for this during the World War I in India. Crop failures, people were unable to pay taxes, and British government, to meet the war demands, it has increased the taxes. To reach the war demands, their war expenses, it has increased even taxes. And due to the crop failures and shortage of food, okay, there was a shortage of food even. This shortage of food even lead for epidemic diseases, even hunger deaths. Many of the struggles have seen in the countries like colonies. Okay, so let us have a look about these people. Yeah, here you have a question. Yes, which of the following tax was introduced during the World War I? Option 1, income tax. Option 2, land tax. Option 3, C, custom union. Option D, professional tax. Which tax would you expect the British government has introduced or increased during the World War I? Yeah, the answer is income taxes. Even from jamindaris, okay, even from jamindars. Kartika, option? Which option you are expecting? It's right. Option A. Yes. So you can see that here income tax, in the sense like the people, kings, those who are the princely kings and those who are under the monarchical government, there even the jamindaris and different people are forced to pay taxes more. Okay, so income tax was newly introduced in India during the World War I. Let's have another question to you all. Which one of the following is not true regarding the impact of the World War on India? Defense expenditure result in increasing taxes. Income taxes was introduced and custom duties increased. The hardship end with the war as the British introduced the Rulath Act. Forced recruitment of soldiers was introduced in the villages. So which one is not regarding, it's not a part of or not an impact of World War? Yes? Anyone? Can I have an answer for this? Which is not an impact of World War? It's an hardship end with the war. See, a defense expenditures already resulted, and it is due to the defense expenditure, they increased taxes. That's the right answer. Income tax was introduced and custom duties were also increased. This is a normally impact of World War. Forced recruitment of soldiers was introduced in the villages. We have seen many in movies, even they have projected this, how these Indian soldiers were forcibly recruited in this British army during the World War I. So this is not the impact of the World War. Let us have a detailed structure. Yeah. See, during the World War, there was a hardship faced by Indian government. So very long struggle. There was a suffering during this World War time. Indians have struggled in all the areas. Let us have that. What is that? Defense expenditures. Defense expenditures, to meet the defense expenditures, they forced on Indian people. They collected more number of taxes. They have increased the taxes, and due to that, people were suffering in all the areas. They were unable to pay the taxes due to the crop failures and all. There was no food grains in the country. Due to that, there was hunger deaths occurred even during the World War. So you can find it out. Rises in the prices. Okay, they were from 1913. There was a lot of suffering in the people. Famines and crop failures. You can see famines and crop failures from 1918 to 21, children. Please note this point. 1918 to 21, there was a lot of crop failures due to the famines. Okay, note down this. According to the census of 1921, 12 to 13 million people have died. 12 to 13 million people were died due to hunger. 12 to 13 million people were died during this World War due to crop failures, shortage of food. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. What does the satyagraha means? Choose one from the following options. Yes. What does the satyagraha means? Choose one from the following options. Satyagraha means, what is this word says? Satyagraha means use of physical forces to inflict pain while fighting. Satyagraha does not inflict pain. It's a non-violent method of fighting against the oppression. Satyagraha means passive resistance and is a weapon of the weak. Satyagraha was a racist method of mass agitation. So which one is the right option? The word satyagraha, what it means? Can I have an answer from you all? Yeah. Satyagraha does not inflict pain. It's a non-violent method without any violence. Okay, without any violence, fighting against the government or fighting to achieve their goals or demands, okay, against the oppression, those who are discrimination or those who are suppressing us. Okay, so this was the right option. Satyagraha is the word satya and graha, truth. And with two jewels, Gandhiji adopted this method of satyagraha in his book Swaraj. Okay, in his book Swaraj, he has mentioned in the Swaraj. The book name is In the Swaraj. In his Hind Swaraj, he has mentioned that about this word satyagraha, with truth and non-violence to attain freedom. And he also mentioned regarding that until and unless we were listening to the Britishers, they may not leave us. We may not cooperate. If we doesn't cooperate them, definitely they will leave the country. Okay, so in sort of time he started the movement, a mass movement, which is called non-cooperation. In detail we go in the next slides. So before that, let us have a look. Some of the important national movements were in the country. National movements, important movements, in which place they occurred. Let us have a look in this map. See, the first and most important thing, that is Amritsar. There was an incident occur at Amritsar. It's an incident called Jalnawala Bagh massacre. It was a mass killing of people by a General Dyer. His name is General Dyer, and he has open fired the people at The Jallianwala Bagh. It's a garden. Okay. At Jallianwala Bagh, which is existing in the Amritsar, Punjab. So here people have gathered for a Baisakhi festival. Okay, there was a fair, Baisakhi festival. Fair was going on in that particular place, and people have gathered in this bagh, in this garden, Jallianwala Bagh, and there was going on a demonstration. And before this, you need to know about one important point to be noted here: martial laws. Martial laws were implemented a week before in this areas. So as the World War was going on, there should not be any type of agitation, or there should not be any disturbances in the colonies. So they have introduced strict policies in the country. So in sort of time, not to gather a mass at any of the places. So British government, they introduced new policies which is called martial laws. According to these laws, there should not be any mass gatherings or groupings, or any type of demonstration should not be taken place. If at all anyone found like that, they are being arrested. Okay, so for that martial laws were being implemented. People were unaware about this martial laws, and they have come to this. There was a meeting held at this Jallianwala Bagh. So General Dyer entered into this area, and he distracted he have opened fire the people, and the Bagh has only a single exit. It has only a single exit, and the people were unable to move out of that place, and many of the people, hundreds of people have died in that massacre, and thousands were injured, and it was a great loss. And we can say that it was one of the most saddest day in our Indian history. Jallianwala Bagh massacre, it took place in 13th April on date, you can please note it down, this 13th April 1919. Yes. Okay, so let us have in detail, I'll show you the image even for you all, and let's coming with other one, Chowri Chowra. This Chowri Chowra incident also I'll show you in this later on regarding the non-cooperation movement. The non-cooperation movement here, even in the Chowri Chowra place, there was a farmers were attacked by the British officials or British police. Okay, so the next day itself, the British police stations were attacked by Indian farmers, and they have openly fired this police station. Okay, it is a place called Chowri Chowra. And at this Chowri Chowra, this PS was existing of 22 police. Okay, so when this 22 police were in the PS itself, people, this group of people, those who are been violated, especially like Britishers have forced the Indian farmers and many of the people, they have suppressed them. Okay, so they in counter attack, they have attacked on this PS. In that 22 policemen were been and let a fire to the police station. So in that 22 police people have died. So due to that incident, it was a violence incident. Okay, Gandhiji expected in non-violence. With non-violence, we should achieve our freedom. His intention was that. So due to this movement, the incident, he has called of non-cooperation. So let us have in detail one more time, we'll have a look over that even. And if you take Ahmedabad, cotton mill workers, these were some satyagraha movements. This is the Champaran in 1917. It was the first movement held by under the name of Satyagraha regarding indigo planters. Indigo planters were forced the Indian farmers to cultivate indigo in the agriculture farmlands, especially like where in this Bihar areas, which is a fertile soil which is good for rice cultivation. So British forced, that is planters, indigo planters, forced the Indian farmers or Indian peasants to cultivate indigo. In process, the people to support these farmers, support these peasants, Gandhiji led a movement, a first movement at Champaran, okay, in Bihar. At this place, he adopted this satyagraha principle there, and he fought to support the peasants against the indigo planters. It's called a first satyagraha movement. Later on, we learn about Ahmedabad and even Kheda. The Kheda movement, even a peasant satyagraha, whereas this is against the indigo planters. Here the peasants are forced to pay during the famines. Also they were forced to pay taxes more. So when the crop failure, how could the farmer pay the taxes? So this was the question. So they were unable to pay the taxes. When there is no income, how could they pay back the taxes? So to support these peasants at the Kheda, Gandhiji has supported with this jewel, which is called Satyagraha. Okay, in 1917, it's the second one. And at Ahmedabad, 1918, this was the third one, supporting the cotton mill workers. The mill workers were forced with no proper working conditions, and there was more number of working hours. So mill workers are protesting against the colonial government, especially those who are taking care of this cotton mill owners. Okay, so to support them, the mill workers, support the mill workers at Ahmedabad, Gandhiji has supported this satyagraha. That was the third one. Okay, so first one, this comes Champaran, Kheda, and next Ahmedabad. There was another movement also at Bardoli. There was no taxation. It was a year at this place, the people were asking for no taxing. That means peasants, even it was also a peasant movement. The year even people were protested that we were not going to pay any type of taxes to the British government. So their slogan was no taxation. So that was and other one, Dandi March. Dandi March in 1930, that is from Dandi to from Sabarmati to Dandi. Sabarmati was a Gandhiji ashramam which is there in Gujarat. From there to here, he had led a campaign during the civil disobedience movement, which was called as Dandi March. So we will discuss in detail. Yeah, let us have a look. Rulath Act. See, just now we have discussed that during the martial laws, due to the martial laws, people were unaware about martial laws, and there was a meeting was held at Jalnawala Bagh. Okay, so before that, you need to know about a movement called, act called Rulath Act. It's an act introduced by Britishers. It was main intention of this act was that if any one of the Indians or any of the people protest or do mass agitations or bring any type of group gatherings, they were being arrested without any trial. Without any trial. Suppose if the person is arrested, he should be produced in the court, and later on the proceedings take place, and later on he is being arrested, or he was kept in the jail for 2 years or whatever it might be. But as per this Rulath Act, they are being directly arrested and imprisoned without any trial for 2 years. So this was the main concept of this Rulath Act. To counter this Rulath Act, there was a meeting held at Jalnawala Bagh. Children, please be noted, Rulath Act which lead for Jalnawala Bagh incident. So to counter the Rulath Act in Punjab, there was a gathering which is at Jalnawala Bagh. You can find here Jalnawala Bagh. This was a Bagh, children, which is the incident during the incident time. This one, which is having only single exit. Now present day, you can find there was an commemorated which was been in the memory of the people who have sacrificed their lives for the country. This is a present day picture, how the open firing was done. You can find it over here. So Jalnawala Bagh, it was a gathering that they were unaware about the martial laws, and as per this, you can say the British commander General Reginald Dyer. General Reginald Dyer was a person who was in a general who entered the Bagh and openly fired the people. Okay, you can find it over here at the crowd without any warning. Just he has entered it and he has fired openly. Okay. Shooting lasted for 10 minutes. British nearly killed 400 Indians and many were wounded. You can note down this, children. It was a sparked and many of the Indians reacted after this massacre. It has created anger among the people. Overnight, there was a huge turmoil developed all over the nation, not only in North India as well as in South India. Even lot of protest raised after the Jallianwala Bagh. Why was Satyagraha organized in the Champaran? As just now we have discussed, the Champaran Satyagraha was discovered, or it was organized to support, to oppose the British laws, to oppose the plantation system, to oppose high land revenues, to protest against the oppression of the mill workers. Your answer is the plantation system. That is, the plantation is regarding indigo cultivation. So to avoid this cultivation, the people, the peasants, have led a movement called Champaran. Yes. What is the term Khilafah refers? Can you answer this? Yes. Sultan of Muslim country, spiritual leader and temporal head of the Muslim, Nawab of the Muslim state, Pasha of Mughal period. Which one is the term called Khalifa? Its terms like it's a spiritual head. According to the Ottoman Empire, see, Ottomans were if you take an example of like present day Turkey or Istanbul region, which is ruled by Ottomans in the earlier during the World War I and II, these Ottomans were the Islamic country, and their spiritual head or a leader is called as Khalifa. So Khalifa is nothing but it's a spiritual head of that Islamic or Muslims. So let us, why do we read about this Khalifa, or why we are related with Ottoman Empire? So during, once again, I want to tell you, in 1914 to 1919, there was a war, World War. Okay, in the 1919, the World War I has been ended. That is, two groups we have discussed in our previous class also, that there was two groups. One is headed by Britain and other one is Germany. So the Britain headed ones are like France and all, France, Russia and USA, you can say, and German headed ones, or if you take example like Austria, Italy, and the one of the important country is Ottomans. Ottoman Empire was the rivalry of Britain. They were also opponent of Britain. So these people, Ottomans, also feel that as soon as they lost the war, then came to know that Britain was going to impose the war penalty like on Germany, same, they were also expecting that Ottomans were also going to be impose war expenditures or impose the war penalty on the Ottomans. As soon as they came to know that there was a movement going on in the country, Ottoman Empire also, people started protesting. So in supporting the Ottomans, as the Britain were the rivals even for them. So in India also there was an organization, some associations were been established by Indian Muslim people. There were two major persons. These are the two important persons. His name Muhammad Ali and Shaukat Ali, the brothers. Both the brothers started these associations supporting the Ottomans. So it's called as Khalifa movement. Okay, Caliphate or Khilafat movement. Okay, so this Khilafat movement was started in India supporting the Ottoman Empire during this 1919s. So why it is related with the Indian history means, today why do we read means this Khilafat issue also incorporated in India with the non-cooperation. Let us see now how this topic and how the Khilafat was incorporated with Indians. So Gandhiji intention is that to bring Hindus and Muslims under one umbrella, to bring unity among the Indians, that to get deprived or to throw the British from the country, we need to combine the religious groups. Okay, so his intention is that British to thrown out from the country, we need to combine the major religious, that is Hindus and Muslims, to bring together. So his initiation is that Khilafat movement should be incorporated into the non-cooperation, so that we can lead the movement in the mass. Okay, so let us have, this is about Muhammad Ali and Shaukat Ali, both the brothers, and Indian National Congress has incorporated in this Khilafat into this Swaraj. Let us have a look. Let us have a detail about non-cooperation movement. See, non-cooperation movement, a non-cooperation movement during, in the Swaraj, Gandhiji mentioned that, he has mentioned that we are cooperating them, so they were ruling us. Okay, if we doesn't cooperate the Indian British government, if we do not cooperate, definitely they leave us. So his intention is that, so in the part of non-cooperation, okay, in the part of non-cooperation, firstly, this non-cooperation movement was led or began especially in the towns and cities. Okay, so let us have a look. Yeah, towns and cities, especially people started along mass groups under the leadership of Gandhiji. So under this, they started his mass groupings and gatherings. He have told the people that not to use the British products, use Swadeshi goods. Boycott foreign goods was a main foster intention, not to use the British products. Okay, use Indian goods. Liquor shops should be closed or picketing. Okay, and foreign clothes or foreign goods were burnt in the public areas. Merchants and trades also should be stopped using this foreign goods. So his intention was that not to cooperate in all the areas. So the Britishers were main intention, they have come to the country to earn profits. So the major profits through trade. So his intention is not to encourage the trade in the country so that they may leave the country. The main intention of the non-cooperation. Let us see the question for you all. The non-cooperation movement began on which one of the following dates? January 21st, November 21, December 1921, May 1921. Can I have an answer for you from you all? Yes? Yes? The answer is January 21. See, as per in some books, you can see that it was started in 1920. See, 1920 it was started, the plannings and all these in the December months. And it started implementing from January 1921. Please be noted this point, children. Okay, after the Jallianwala Bagh incident, okay, in the April 13, after that in the December month the plannings were done to raise a major important mass agitation which is called as non-cooperation. So plannings were done in 1920 and it was started implementation from 1921 January. Okay, please note this, children. Next. So let us see now this non-cooperation movement as not went in all the places, not in the same manner. It has went in different ways in throughout the country. Okay, the people thought this non-cooperation in different way. So to attain Swaraj, Swaraj was a main intention. To get Swaraj, that means people thought Swaraj means in different ways, in different areas. Let us have that how this non-cooperation, Swaraj, attaining the Swaraj in different areas. See, first one is beginning of non-cooperation in 1921. Many social groups also participated here and they have thought that in different ways. Swaraj was thought in different ways in different places. Swaraj was mean to people, and whatever the non-cooperation called by Gandhiji was assumed by people in different ways in different areas. Each had their own aspiration. Their aspirations were different. Their way of attaining is different. They thought Swaraj in different ways. So what is the different stands with in this movement? Let us have a closer look into this topic. See, there was a question for you all. Name the sannyasi who had earlier been to Fiji as an indigenous labor and lead a movement in the Awadh for the peasants. So, person name I want: Alluri Ramchandra, Baba Ramchandra, Jawaharlal Nehru, Natesha Shastri. So, these are the four major important persons who was one among these people who was a earlier indigenous labor. The labor, he worked as a labor at Fiji. Fiji was an island closer to Australia. So there he worked as an indigenous labor and later on he have came back to the country. Can I have answer from you all? No? Yeah, here was answer, that is Baba Ramchandra. Let us have a look now. See, before going for this four areas, see different standards. If you take example of this, four areas. First one is towns and cities. Towns and cities. So towns and cities, the intention of the people is that not to use the foreign goods. Schools, colleges, whatever the organizations run by the British, people have boycotted it, and those who are recruited, that's lawyers or the people, Indians who are recruited in the British organizations or British institutions, they have boycotted and they have resigned for the post and came out from their institutions. So that towns and cities have went on in that way. They thought the Swaraj means to get or not to cooperate in this way, towns and cities. If you take for the other one is countryside. Countrysides in the sense of rural areas or villages. If you take in the rural areas or villages especially, we find two types of ideology among the people. Like one is from peasants, other one is tribal. Peasants in the sense normally in the villages or in sort of rural areas. The tribals, in the sense completely in the interior of the forest lands, the people have protested in different way. So they thought the Swaraj in different angle. So let us have a look about how the peasants and tribals have taken this movement. Okay, other one is plantation workers. Also, they thought in different angle that Swaraj is, which is called by non-cooperation, a part of non-cooperation. So let us have a look in detail. First come from peasants movements. So peasants thought this movement in different way, especially they thought that their lands were when, especially landlords, those landlords, they used to give some funds to the people, landlords and talukdars or jamindars or different landlords. So they have given the funds to the peasants, and in return they were unable to pay back the loans, and finally they have extract their lands from them and they made them landless people. So there were many of the landless peasants in the country, especially in the North Indian states. This Baba Ramchandra, he has started a movement to support these peasants, and even Jawaharlal Nehru was also a part of it. Okay, so he started, Baba Ramchandran started organizations or some associations to support the peasants. They are called as Audh Kisan Sabha, Audh Kisan Sabhas. Okay, so all over India to support the peasants. So in June 1920, Jawaharlal Nehru also, he has traveled to different villages supporting this the Kisan Sabha. Many villages, he took the grievances from the people and established several Kisan Sabhas at different areas, which is initiation taken by Baba Ramchandran. Okay, so within a month there are 300 branches under these the Kisan Sabhas. So this was their intention is that to against the landlords and talukdars, there to get their own lands or to secure their own lands, or not to increase their taxes or force them to pay more taxes, even to get back their own lands was of their intention. So especially in the villages, this was the conditions. And is Baba Ramchandra, and he was a trade union leader, and he organized the farmers of Audh. Audh was a place in UP, the Kisan Sabha, and earlier he was in indigent labor in Fiji, and okay, so you can see that prime figure about him. Here was this Kisan Sabhas, you can find here. He led a movement in Awadh against the talukdars and landlords. His main demands, you can see that reduction of rents, abolishing of Begar. Begar was one of the tax, okay, which has been, and boycotting the landlords, which are been okay. Coming for in October 1920, he formed the Audh Kisan Sabha with the help of Nehru, and there within 3 months there were 300 branches. Let us have a look. Why was Alluri Sitaramraju well known for? Why he was well known? He led the militant movement of tribal peasants in Andhra Pradesh. He held a peasant movement in Awadh. He led a satyagraha movement in Bardoli. He set up an organization for uplifting of Dalits. Which one is the right answer? Why was Alluri Sitaramraju well known? For what he was well known? I hope you people know who is Alluri Sitaramraju. He was a tribal, and that was my clue. Can anyone tell me? Yes. Yeah, your answer is he led a militant movement. A militant movement. Okay, he led a militant movement in the tribal peasants. Okay, to support the, especially in Andhra Pradesh, tribal regions, he led a militant movement against the forest acts, which are been forest acts were in, according to the forest act, the tribals were not allowed to enter the forest. They were introduced different types of acts, like they were dividing the forest lands into reserve forest, or those were not allowed under as soon as they have a permit. Until and unless they have permit, they were not allowed into the forest, as the tribal lives were been completely depend on the forest products, so they were unable to survive. So to against their forest act, or against the forest rights, they have fought tribal movement. So it's called a militant movement by Alluri Ramchandra. Which of the following was a reason? Let us have a look for the tribal Swaraj. So tribals, they are called in Gudam Hills of AP. We find this Alluri Ramchandra. Under his leadership, they led a militant movement which are called as and tribals want to get back to their traditional rights on over forest. The method of whatever the methods he followed to achieve. So as these tribal people thought that Gandhiji lead a movement called non-cooperation. So these tribals thought that not to cooperate in the sense to fight against the British. In fact, they thought that to achieve their rights on forest. So they opted the violent type of activities, attacking on the British officials and attacking on their vehicles, destructing the tracks, railway tracks, and all the areas. So attacking on the British officials, and also certain activities violent activities in the form of, like we call as guerrilla method of warfare. Okay, guerrilla method of warfare, hiding in the forest lands and suddenly attacking on them. So this method was used by violent method for their struggle. So this is about Alluri Ramchandra. You can find here how the tribals were protesting, how the were attacked by. You can find Alluri Ramchandra. He led a tribal movement in Andhra Pradesh, and he was treated as a god by the tribals, and they believed that as he was an incarnation of the god. Okay, and they believed that he had many special powers also. He supported Gandhiji and asked his followers to wear khadi only, and he also he also said the people not to drink or consuming of liquor also to be stopped. He have told the people to stop. So Gandhiji principles, two most important things is wearing khadi and to stop drinking liquor consumption. Also two important points to be noted. Okay, let's have a look. Yeah, here was a question for you all. Which of the following was a reason for calling of non-cooperation? So this was now till now we have went on this countryside, like peasants and tribals were fighting for the Swaraj in different angles or different ways. Okay, if you take for the plantation crops, even in the plantation crops also, especially in the plantations like estates and where the people, many were been forcibly recruited under one act. Under one act, it's called 1856 Immigration Act. Under this act, whenever the people are being recruited into these plantations under one agreement, so until and unless they permit to leave the estates, they are not allowed. Okay, in suppose if they were ran away or they tried to escape, they were being seriously observed by many of the officials and completely rescued by the British officials, and they were being caught and severely tortured by them, leaving their families to live in the plantations were very brutal conditions as a slaves. Okay, so many of them tried to escape from these plantations, but they were unable to, and they were caught at the railway stations and bus stops by these British officials, and they were being tortured like anything. Okay, so this plantation, they thought that to get, as soon as they heard about non-cooperation by Gandhiji lead a movement called non-cooperation, these people in the plantation, they thought that getting free from the plantations, so they expected Swaraj in this angle. So different people thought the Swaraj non-cooperation in different angles. So let us see now why this non-cooperation has been stopped. See, in the beginning of the map pointing, I told you about Chauri Chaura, a place called where Chauri Chaura, a place where in Bihar there was an incident occur, that is 22 police people were burnt alive at a PS. So due to that, the non-cooperation movement was called out. Why? The people were taking in different ways in different areas, and people were opting the non-violence. So Gandhiji did not like the violence activities which were taken by the people in different areas. So he stopped this mass movement and dropped the non-cooperation, which is called calling of non-cooperation movement, or stop this movement. So let us have a look after this what happens. So as soon as this non-cooperation movement was called off, and there was if you take Gandhiji, there was in 1920s there was many changes were come in the Indian government. People started thinking for different way of approaches and to make the constitution for Indian people. So at that time a statutory was developed by British Raj, and under that they have sent one commission to prepare a constitution for the country. So this is called a Simon Commission. The Simon Commission was existing of all the British officials. No one were Indians. So this commission was not accepted by Indian government. Indian people, especially INC leaders, they have protested that we don't want this commission. And there was no Indians in this commission, so we do not need these commissions. So they have come with a slogan called Simon Go Back. Okay, so later on they expected Purna Swaraj, so complete freedom. They were asking complete freedom. As Simon went back and came with some changes, which is called dominion status. So under this dominion status, giving some special privileges for Indians, but Indian government did not, Indian leaders, INC leaders did not accept it and said that we need complete freedom, which is called Purna Swaraj. Okay, so let us have now this time Gandhiji has planned for other mass agitation, bigger movement to lead the Indian national freedom. So that's the movement is nothing but civil disobedience movement. Let us have details about this. So this movement was begun from Salt March. Salt March is for, if you take it's an independence. To get independence, Salt March was one of the major steps in the Indian national struggles. Okay, in 1930, Gandhiji started a movement called Salt March. To at that movement, salt production was stopped by no Indians were allowed to manufacture salt at any of the places. So this was one of the rule introduced by, or salt laws made by Britishers. So to abolish this law, there was a movement started which is called Salt March. So before this, there was there was the Gandhiji did not lead a movement directly. So before that, he has sent a principles or a letter to with some demands. Okay, so under these demands, out of 8 to 11 demands, he has mentioned in it. Among that, one is salt law breaking. Okay, so in this laws, salt law, not to stop Indians to manufacture salt. Okay, so if you were not fulfilling these demands, we ultimately start a mass agitation. So at that moment, he have written a letter for Lord Irwin General, the person who was the head of the British government. So Irwin did not react for this letter. Okay, so then to, as mentioned in the letter, even if our demands were not fulfilled, so we will lead the movement called civil disobedience, or which was given. Have a look. So Gandhiji's demonstrated to defend the hate of Salt Act. So British law stated that Indian could buy salt from no other source but the government, as well pay sales tax on the salt also. Okay, in protest, Gandhiji and his followers walked 240 miles in 24 days from Sabarmati to Dundee. There were 73 volunteers along with Gandhiji, and many of the people have joined in his way to Dundee, from Sabarmati Ashramam to Dundee. So this began to become a very important popular movement in the freedom struggle. Okay, let us have a look. Yeah, you can see there. This is the place from Sabarmati Ashramam. These are all the places on his way 240 miles, and finally reached to the Dundee in Gujarat. You can have images over here regarding this Dundee march. Yeah. Here are a few roundtable conferences where our Indian leaders, especially Gandhiji, attended few of the meetings. So out of them, let us have a look. On 5th March in 1931, one of the important movement or roundtable conference, the civil disobedience movement was going on. During that, in between, there were called for a roundtable conference. So there was a Gandhi-Irwin Pact. So many of this, during the civil disobedience movement, many of the people have been lost their lives, and many were imprisoned, especially important leaders like Ghaffar Khan and Jawaharlal Nehru, and many leaders, INC leaders, were under the British prisoners. Okay, so in that, to relieve them, Gandhiji went for the round table conference, and in under this he tried to convince the Irwin, but he was unable to. And among that, you can find a round table conferences also. Gandhiji went to London even in the December month in 1931 to stop or to take a negotiations, and this was also failed. So in such cases, even Gandhiji lead another movement. Once again, he restarted the civil disobedience movement in 1931, but by 34, it's lost its importance. Let us see now about civil disobedience in detail. See, these are the roundtable conferences in London. Let us have a civil disobedience movement. Civil disobedience movement went in different areas, and many participants were taken part in this movement. But coming with the participations, especially Muslims, you can take after the decline of non-cooperation and Khilafat movement, Muslims do not showed much importance in this march agitations, and they felt that during the civil disobedience movement, they felt that Congress was neglecting, or Congress showing the importance to Hindu religions. They feel that they were alienated. Okay, so the Congress thought that Congress was alienating. So from mid 1920s, they realized that they thought that Congress was not paying attention or discriminating on based on religion. So that was the main intention which was led for this Muslim League was formed. In 1920, Congress was more visible associated with Hindu religious, which are like Hindu Mahasabha and all, okay, and INC was mostly focusing in that area. So Muhammad Ali Jinnah, who was the founder of this Muslim League, was formed, okay. So if you take Muslims participation was less. Okay, and along with these limitations, we can find more two major limitations. Is one is Muslims and other one is minorities. Two categories of minorities like Muslims and depressed classes like lower caste, those who think that they are the backward classes, especially like SCs and STs. So they believe that their caste were been minorities, especially like if you take example like B.R. Ambedkar has started some associations for depressed classes. Okay, to depressed classes, to support them, he have divided separate constituencies for these depressed classes. Okay, so to support these, he expected separate constituencies. For this, Gandhi has not supported. He feel that if we were divided among based on religion or based on caste, if we all are divided like this, definitely we can't attain our freedom. So he believed that even he have did a hunger strike even against this demand, and there was a discussion and there was a debate between Gandhi and Ambedkar. Even finally there was one agreement, Purna Pact. It's called as Purna Pact. So under this pact, Gandhi and Ambedkar, they were came under one understand that there will be giving some reservations for these depressed classes. So this was done between Gandhi and Ambedkar. Okay, and there was another category. You can take a few of the people like business classes and rich peasants and even trade and different people also has been taken part in the beginning of this civil disobedience movement, but later on they lost their confidence that INC was not showing any importance. It's not fulfilling their demands. Like, okay, peasants like if you take Uttar Pradesh and Gujarat Jats and all, they feel that they were forced for taxations. So to reduce the taxation, INC will be leading some benefits through the civil disobedience movement. They believed that, but their demands were not fulfilled at any areas. So they were depressed and they were unable to continue in this civil disobedience by the end also. Okay, and even business groups were also, when the British products were being forced in the Indian markets, so the Indian British government products were being a little bit cheaper, but when the Indian production was going on during that particular time, they were unable to compete. So these people were also struggling like anything during this civil disobedience movement. There was some associations also formed during this business classes, FICCI, and like if I saw different associations were also formed to get the demands of the people. Okay, so these were different participation was done. Different people have participated in the movement, but by 31 it lost its importance. So once it lost importance after the round table conference, and many were prisoned and kept in the jail. So to relieve them under the round table conference, Gandhiji went to negotiate with Erwin in the second round table conference, but it was failed. So then he has come back to India and he relaunched this movement in 1931 once again. But the movement was lost its importance by 34, and there was disappointment among the people in different reasons. Okay, and coming with women also participated in this civil disobedience movement. Many of the women have come out for the streets and fight for their rights to achieve independence. And coming with next, after this, you can find here sense of collectiveness or collective belongings was developed through, see, even in the nationalism in Europe, we have studied about culture, tradition has lead the movement. They have inculcated the spirit of nationalism. So once this collectiveness has been developed through some flags and songs and different cultural activities, lead the people to think about the Indian spirit. Okay, so let us have now a look about some of the collective belongings. This is about Bharat Mata image. If you can look it over here, Bharat Mata image, which is created by Abhindranath Tagore. He was painted this image, Abhindranath Tagore, in the beginning. And this is look like sannyasi. She was calm and divine with spirit. If you take this image, was about Bharat Mata image. Okay, its devotion towards her become a proof of nationalism. So this was Abhindranath Tagore, who was a person painted this image. You can find it here. During the Vande Mataram movement in West Bengal, this became the main intention. Okay, there was also a song developed by during this movement. So Vande Mataram means getting free. Okay, freedom. You can find it here, Bharat Mata, Vande Mataram, and you can find after this collectiveness, you can find it here one more also. There are national flags were also developed during this movement. In the beginning, we used to have a tricolor flag, which is red, green and yellow. Show you the image. Yes, red, green and yellow, this one, and was used during the Swadeshi movement. During the Swadeshi movement, there were 8 lotus. You can find it in this image. 8 lotuses. Okay. 8 lotus on which depicting the 8 provinces. See, Indian government, India was completely, which is under the British. It was divided into 8 provinces, 8 divisions under the British Raj. Okay, so these 8 lotus represents 8 provinces in the country. There was a crescent moon on the flag. You can have a look in this image. Crescent moon. Okay, on the flag, which represents the Hindus and Muslims. Okay, Gandhiji has designed the Swaraj flag by 1921. It was also a tricolor flag, and the flag which is designed by Gandhiji, it is little bit different, and it is also a tricolor flag, and here red, green and white, and there was a spinning wheel. Please be noted this, children. There was a spinning wheel on this flag of red, green and white. Okay, a spinning wheel in the center. You can have a look here. This one. You can find over, you can look over the flags, the changes in the flag. Okay, unofficial flag of India. You can have a look on these images, please. Yes, unofficial flag of India in 1906. It's like the first one, Vande Mataram time. Okay, and it's a Berlin committee first raised by Buckingham in 1906. Okay, and this is the flag during the Home Rule. During the Home Rule movement in 1917, this was a flag, and the flag which is made by Gandhi. The flag adopted in 1931, this one, and the present day flag, this is key. Have a look. Okay. Now, let us come. These were different national flags were been formed, and these through songs and national flags, they inculcated the spirit of nationalism among the people. Okay, so especially like Vande Mataram song, Sare Jahan Se Acha, which has been introduced by different uh, important people. Okay, if you take Bankim Chand Chatterjee has been written about these people songs and all, Vande Mataram song and all, and in during that he has inculcated this Abhindranath Tagore's image also in this song. Okay, 8th August 1942, there was a movement called Quit India movement, and this movement was an important and mass movement which lead for independence. Okay, in 18th August, and one more point to be noted here, in 1928, there was a movement, there was a declaration by British regarding the dominion status. The Indian people, especially like in 29, sorry, in 1929, there was a declaration of dominion status. Due to that status, they believed that we got independence. So especially like Swaraj Party was established by C.R. Das, Motilal Nehru and all, they declared that India got independence. But after in 1929, after the Lahore session, they declared that INC leaders said that we do not need such type of independence, we need complete independence. They expected that Purna Swaraj, complete freedom. So under Lahore session in 1929, they have confirmed that this whatever this C.R. Das and Motilal Nehru declared that upcoming 1920 30 January 27, sorry, January 26, they declared it as an Independence Day. But under the Lahore session, INC leader considered that we need complete independence, we need Purna Swaraj. So this day, to not lose its importance, we have adapted for in making of our constitution, and it has came into effect from January 26th as a Republic Day. As a Republic Day, not to lose this January 26th. Many celebrations even all over India has done during this particular day, January 26th in 1930. Okay, so after this in 1942, there was a movement on 8th August in 1940, that is Quit India movement. Gandhiji gave this time he has went on with a different strategy that either do or die. Okay, with his slogan called do or die slogan. He has marched to the mass gatherings, and Quit India movement have spreaded all over the India, and many people did a protest against the British officers and all, quit India, means leave the country. And finally by 1946, okay, by 1946, you need to be note two things here. In 1946, in British, the Britain was under the control of, there were two parties, conservatives and Labour Party. So till 1946, that is under the conservatives. So they believe that it should be, they were not willing to leave freedom in the country. But as soon as the Labour Party has come into power in the Britain, so that time Wales, the Lord Wales, Cornwallis, Wales was the earlier, and Wales, sorry, and he was replaced by Mountbatten. So this, as soon as the Batten has come to the power in 1946, he has given a statement that in this, during 42, when the Quit India movement was going on, he has given a promise that we are going to give independence in the upcoming year. So as soon as this was spreaded, and there was mass gatherings were being taken place, and the issue went into, the British has given a different strategy. It has applied here, that is divide and rule policy. They encourage the Muslims against, and they do not show any type of importance in the INCs, and this lead for the strongness. Many, during the Quit India movement, many of the Indian leaders were under the prison. So when they were in the prison, they have manipulations and divide and rule policy they have implemented and encouraged the Muslim leagues, and which lead for two strategies of two major parties. So these strategies, and they divided, they have inculcated that British has injected the Muslims that they need separate provinces. So British encourages these Muslims, and finally this Muslims League started expecting that need a separate nations. Okay, so during the civil disobedience movement, even they expected for separate constituencies, but it was not accepted. But during this Quit India movement, after they finally they decided to get away from the separate state. Okay, they want to become a separate state. So this lead for Direct Action Day in 1946. In 1946, Direct Action Day. Many thousands of people, okay, thousands of people were being killed under these religious rights. Okay, Hindu and Muslims have died. Many of them have died in these rights during this Direct Action Day. And finally, British authorities or British government decided to divide the country on based on religion. After the Quit India movement in 1946, finally on 1947 we have achieved our independence on 15th August 1947. Next, you can find over the folklore is also songs and all, the national folk songs and folk legendaries. You can find Rabindranath Tagore collected a number of folk songs and legends in Madras. Natesha Shastri, he was an important person who has published 4 volumes. He has published 4 volumes of Tamil folk tales to encourage South Indians against the national movements. The folk songs and legends gave a true picture of Indian culture. They showed all through their thoughts and characters of Indians in their songs. They created a national pride among the people. And there was a map finally. Yeah. You need to have a look here once. Already we discussed about the important centers of national movements here. This about, can you tell me? Yes. Chauri Chaura, 1922, it's in UP. Champaran, 1970, in Bihar. Kharagpur, Bihar. Ahmedabad, it's in Gujarat, 1918. Amritsar, Jalnawala Bagh, 1919, 13th April. And Kheda, 1917. Dandi March, 1930s. Bradoli, 1924. So these were the important centers of Indian national movement. And coming with Indian National Congress sessions. So Congress has conducted some session meetings in different areas. So most important one, like first time the Indian National Congress met at Nagpur in Maharashtra in the December month and September month in 1920. So first time in the September month at Calcutta, and in this gathering they decided to establish non-cooperation movement. And here and among the Indian leaders there was a tussle developed and there was a miscommunication developed under this non-cooperation movement, and non-cooperation did not took much importance from 1920s to 20. I told you in the beginning also 1921 the plannings were done in 1920s, but finally from 21 onwards non-cooperation movement started implementation. Okay, so in the Calcutta session the first time they wanted to take a non-cooperation movement, the plannings were done. But there was a miscommunication or tussle developed among the INC leaders which was not implemented, and so far from September to December. After in the December Nagpur session, they finally the tussle was solved among the INC leaders, and these people Gandhiji principles what he have expected that non-cooperation movement should be included with the Khilafat issue. Okay, the Khilafat issue was also included with the non-cooperation. So this including with the Khilafat issue in the Nagpur session, they finally have taken up non-cooperation movement. In the December month, it was started implementation from 1921 in the January 21st onwards. Okay, next, coming with this third one, Madras. And once the Simon Commission has come back, so Simon go back and not to accept the Simon Commission was decided in the Madras in 1927. And there was also one more important thing that during this there was a war going on with the British in different other countries. War was been engaged. Britain were engaged with different out foreign countries. War was existing. So during that time, Indian soldiers were not allowed to involve in the war on behalf of Britain. So this decision was also taken by Indians during in this 27 Madras session. And next one is Lahore. Today it is in the Pakistan. At Lahore session, Purna Swaraj. Purna Swaraj and not to accept 1929, which was as an Independence Day declared by C.R. Das and Motilal Nehru. So they were expecting Purna Swaraj, complete independence. So this was decided in this session. So these were main important national congresses. So among these all are overall we were come up regarding non-cooperation, civil disobedient movement, Quit India movement, finally Quit India movement. So by this we are done with the class. I hope this class will help you all. Okay, do work hard, keep practicing, do give your level best, or work hard more in the practicing multiple choice of questions and get the NTSE seat. All the best. Shining off, Nagarani. Thank you.